Hello, Mystical Stars. This is Erin. Let's jump right in. Oh my gosh, this is so poignant for me. We have work. That is such a poignant card. On the reading I did last, we talked about the fifth dimensional bees. So if you're someone who is following from reading to reading, this is a confirmation of the path. So I would interpret that. Bees are such high frequency creatures. They are very representative of the fifth dimension because the fifth dimension is a very sweet energy and vibration. And it also involves collaboration of all elements together for the good of all. And so the bees are very good carriers of that frequency with their honey production and their, cool collaborative effort. We have the curio cabinet, and that is about things that are meant to be kept safe and personal. So you have some kind of internal work happening or process happening, or maybe even revision happening. I'm picking up for a lot of you, this is interdimensional work that you're doing. It's, in other words, you are opening up spiritually. And when you have an authentic spiritual opening and awakening, it's not usually something you want to broadcast and share. It changes you. It changes the very structure of your personality. So in the tarot, we have the Chariot, which is a Cancer card about, and Cancers, are represented by the crow that has its shell. And Cancers are deeply caring homebodies, but they keep what is precious safe. And what's cool about the Chariot as well is that this is about someone who knows what they're doing and why, because it's about balancing polarities, okay, where you can have your mind engaged and your heart. You can understand that not everything belongs in perfect categories, and we have to balance life as we move forward. We have to work with a balance, for example, of intuition and intellect, of good judgment and trust, of discipline and connection and heart. So this is you. This is showing you. This is your inspiration up here, and this is you moving forward with this beautiful energy. So let's pull another. We have Shakti. So that really validates the message that this is a spiritual awakening. Shakti energy has to do often with Kundalini awakenings. Shakti is the female energy that moves up the spine. So Spirit is letting you know, yes, you're not making it up. You're not going crazy. You are going through something that is significant spiritually. So we have the Devil, or like Baphomet here, but no, this is Deal. So this is a Capricorn card. The thing about the Devil is it's associated with monotheism and this idea of a great creator and a destroyer in the form of a devil that's trying to ruin everything. But if you look at it from the perspective of mastery over the earthly realm and respect for it, we start to get into the realm of appreciating nature and of taking personal responsibility for our boundaries. And so the Devil card in tarot represents kind of the dark shadow side of that, where we are learning the hard way to have boundaries. This card in this oracle doesn't have any kind of moralistic implications. And so we can just look at this as Capricorn energy. And so it's interesting that I felt drawn to place that next to the Shakti card, because that is implying that even though you're going through a spiritual experience, you're going to be able to ground it down into something that is useful to you on the physical plane. And that is ultimately our goal. And what a lot of people struggle, they will go up in frequency and they kind of want to hover there and stay there. But we're supposed to return to the village, like with the hero's journey that Joseph Campbell talks about, where the hero goes out, has transformative magical experiences and brings them back home and transforms his homeland. And that's what we do when we have spiritual experiences. We want to bring it back into our life. We don't want to just sort of hover in a fourth dimensional frequency or something, or not come back down. There's a feeling of fear of loss. I lived with a woman once who was on a kind of path similar to the I Am movement, if you've heard of that. There's a lot of activity like that around Arizona and Mount Shasta, California and stuff. And she insisted that nobody in her home can wear black. And you should see me right now. I'm wearing black pants and black shirt. Kind of ironic. No black and no red. And I moved in with her, and I had to take all of my black and red articles of clothing and put them in the trunk of my car because she didn't want them in her house at all. And to me, that was an example of someone who was trying very hard to be in a high vibrational frequency, but to stay there and not bring it back home. Because when you cut off aspects of this world that have a place, like black, darkness, void, that's, the void is where seedlings germinate. They germinate in dark, damp, cool soil. And they don't see the light of day until they germinate. And they need the darkness to germinate. So their darkness isn't inherently bad, right? And when we think that we've elevated ourselves and that we're too high in frequency to come back to Earth, we are not complete. Because our mission for most of us is to bring, if we want to catapult into high frequencies, we want to bring it back down. Because if we do that properly, we will illuminate the world around us. We won't lose the spiritual benefit. And so that's what this card, I believe, is telling us. And I want to pull a clarifier on that just to make sure we are on the right track. We have provide. So look, we've got two animals that are raised for what they provide us. We've got the goat and we've got the cow. And we get milk from both. And so this is talking about true Capricorn energy of providing, right? Capricorns aren't necessarily providers, but what they are is they are strong in the material world. They know how to work hard and get their stability and take care of themselves. But then we have the snake. That is very significant with the Shakti card because the snake is also a symbol of Kundalini or spiritual awakening, where you leave behind your old self, you shed the skin. And this branch represents your spine. The snake is the energy moving up your spine. So this is showing you will be able to channel profoundly. You're not necessarily going to want to tell everyone about that part of yourself all the time, but it's going to directly play into your work, your ability to provide in an earthly level through that work and forward movement with discipline and balance. So the Spirit is saying that you haven't lost your mind, basically. Often people who are very much in their earth energy may be a little hesitant to accept spirituality in its totality or certain elements. I mean, obviously, if you're here watching a tarot video, you're open to it. But even advanced spiritual teachers I've known who had a very practical, earthy kind of energy about them or attitude sometimes would roll their eyes around certain spiritual subjects because yours is so practically oriented. And some people like to experience euphoria and visitations with light beings and stuff like that and extraterrestrial stuff. Other people roll their eyes at that and they're like, no, I'm going to say chants and meditate for hours because that's true discipline. And then you have your Buddhists who will do things like take stones and just sandpaper and polish them for hours a day. for no reason than just to practice presence and patience. And that type of spirituality is very earthy. And then you'll have the type of people who want to take adventures around the planet looking for sacred places and vortexes and things, and to engage in interdimensional activity. So I think that where spirituality takes you is personal. And not every spiritual journey is going to look exactly the same. And it's important to honor your customized personal experience. And you don't have to have a specific path necessarily. You just have to have enough knowledge to know what you're experiencing. And that's okay to go about it that way. A person can start a path and look for experiences relative to that path, like with Buddhism, they're seeking nirvana, you know. Or you can live a life dedicated to your higher power. You might have experiences that are like nirvana, but you won't know what it is necessarily, and then you can look for it, and you might read about it when you learn about Buddhism and realize, oh my gosh, I'm having a Buddhist experience. And then just learn about it and learn what's working for you along that journey. So what I'm talking about is the difference between someone who says, I want to start a spiritual path, and then has experiences on that path, and someone who says, I'm having experiences and I need to contextualize them so that I can work with them properly. And that's the person who gets the spiritual downloads first and then seeks the path after that. And that has been my own experience. I grew up really religious, but my consciousness expanded past that. And I had to figure out what system would suit me the best. And it took me a very long time. But in the meantime, if you don't have a specific tradition or path that is like your number one path, you learn some of the principles yourself. And then once you have that down, you can test your personal experience against the paths that you discover. Yeah, there's all different ways of going about this. But this spread, to me, really speaks to a message of respect for you and all of the progress that you have made. And you have a great deal of self-honesty and work ethic here, which makes your offerings, whether spontaneous or in session or however you do it, whatever you offer other people, it makes them magical. Whew, there we go. Are you kidding? Okay, message heard. Spirit does this to me, right? Where I say, give me a validation, and I'll pull sometimes from a different deck or from the same deck, the way I just did, totally randomly, and it'll give me the same card. Like, what does Page of Wands mean here? And then I'll pull a different tarot deck from the one I used to pull the first card. Then I'll pull the same one again. The Spirit's like, well, it means what it means. Oh, library, that adds an interesting dimension. And then I'm feeling to pull one more from this deck. The library is just about seeking knowledge, which is kind of what we just discussed, isn't it? Actually, it's exactly what we just discussed. And inspire. Yeah, look. Oh my gosh, this is so sweet. And I love the nature elements in this oracle deck. So it's just restating the message. You have been working hard to achieve a higher frequency and stabilization in the physical world. And the grace is coming together for you. And now it's time to look for ways that your spiritual path can be supported. So you're looking for inspiration through knowledge. That is incredibly beautiful. I'm really happy for you guys. This is wonderful energy and sacred, and you're looking for sacred knowledge. And healing. It's going to help you heal. So guys, this is incredible, and I just wish you the best on your journey. And if you need any support, my booking link is down below, as well as the links to these cards. And feel free to check out my additional videos, which show up on the screen here. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Sending you all kinds of love and healing. Bye for now.